Joshua Katz controversy, which I guess ended up, this is a year ago, of course, a better part of a year ago, right? He got through it.
Yeah.
Maybe just
free speech was respected. Princeton, in the end, honored its own stated values, good values, the best values, and it respected Joshua Katz's freedom of speech. The president of the university did not agree with what Professor Katz had said. I was far more sympathetic to what Professor Katz said, but our president disagreed with what Professor Katz said. He criticized Professor Katz for saying it, but he rightly took no action against Professor Katz and took the position, the correct position, that Professor Katz was fully within his free speech rights under Princeton's own rules in stating his opinion and stating it as strongly as he did.
Maybe you could just briefly, tell listeners what happened, what the controversy was.
Yes, on July 4th of, I want to get my year straight here, was it 2019 or 2020, 2019, I think. A group of Princeton faculty, together with some graduate students and some others, I believe, and it was a large group, I think the total number of signers was about 300, put out a statement that condemned the university for allegedly having systemic racism and making a series of demands, some of which were reasonable, some of which were unreasonable, some of which, if implemented, would have been illegal. Among the most outrageous of the demands was the demand for the creation of a committee at the university, a faculty committee, that would be charged to investigate the research of Princeton faculty members in order to discover which Princeton faculty members were engaging in racist research.
Racist research
as defined, racist as defined by this committee. Well, I mean, this is an outrageous assault on freedom of speech, on freedom of thought, on the basic values and mission of the university. And of course, there was no way that President Eisgruber was going to go along with any nonsense like that. No self-respecting academic, certainly no self-respecting president of an institution of higher learning would do that.
Well, there are a lot of clearly there are a lot of non-self-respecting
yeah, well, that
faculties out there, but thank God Princeton is not one of them just yet.
Yeah. So in response to this,
but this was a result. Okay, yes. In response to this, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. In response to this, people criticized the letter, the so-called July 4th letter. I was one of the people who criticized it, pointing out that, I mean, demands for things like, a committee to rove around investigating professors' research for racism was outrageous. So, but the strongest criticism came from Joshua Katz, a very quiet, not conservative, old school liberal member of the classics faculty. Joshua describes himself as a library rat, an old-fashioned digger, a researcher who digs around in ancient documents and ancient.
Nonetheless, he acknowledges some, per se, by virtue of being in the classics department, there's a reactionary aspect to his very existence.
And well, this is, of course, what his critics said. What particularly outraged his critics is that not only did he fiercely criticize the July 4th letter, in the course of criticizing it, he referred to a by then defunct student group who had occupied President Eisgruber's office a few years earlier, a group called the Black Justice League, a student group. Professor Katz referred to them as a local, small local terrorist group, but making clear by the context that he was not accusing them of violence. He was using terrorism to mean a group that tried to get its way by inducing fear in other people, which is precisely what this group had done. It had attempted to get its way when it was occupying President Eisgruber's office, making demands, including some very unreasonable and outrageous demands. It was trying to get its way by, in effect, threatening anybody who saw things differently with being attacked on social media, being accused of racism, having their future job prospects or educational opportunities harmed by being labeled, by being defamed as racists, especially mistreating Black critics of the Black Justice League. There was one young woman, a member of our student body, who was outspokenly critical of the Black Justice League at the time, and they harassed her. They tried to defame her. They referred to her with vile names. They called her Aunt Jemima. And that, Joshua, rightly in my view, characterized as a kind of terrorism. It's an attempt to rule by fear, by making people so frightened of their futures because of this defamation that they would cease and desist from any criticism of the Black Justice League and its goals. So that is what got people's backs up at Joshua Katz, including Professor Eisgruber, I'm sorry, President Eisgruber, who did severely criticize Professor Katz for referring to the Black Justice League as a local small terrorist group. But he rightly declined to take any action against Professor Katz because Professor Katz's speech was protected speech under Princeton University's principles. In 2015, as you may know, Ron, the university faculty adopted and incorporated into our official university rules the University of Chicago free speech principles. We were the second institution after the University of Chicago itself to endorse these very robust protections for free speech. And we were the first institution to do so by faculty vote. In other words, it wasn't the trustees imposing this on us. We voted ourselves to bind ourselves to these strong free speech principles. I'm rather proud of that. I'm proud of our faculty for doing that.
Maybe I should rethink my refusal to participate in annual giving. I'm hearing some good things.